good, everybody? Just wanted to give it a couple seconds, let everybody else obviously join on to the call. For some reason, my little streaming service thing wasn't working properly, so I had to make sure that I corrected that before we begin. But what is good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hopefully everybody is having a great start to their week. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. All right, beautiful. All right, so again, good morning, everybody. I know today is Friday. So the volatility within the markets is not always going to be the best, and the opportunities really aren't there, I would say, as far as trading is concerned. You don't really want to place that many trades, or if anything, any trades on a Friday due to the lack of volatility. Obviously, the markets are going to be closing as well. But it is a great time for us to kind of recap, go over what the markets gave us this week, kind of figure out what they can give us for next week as well, and just get an overall idea of the markets in general. Obviously, I'll be able to answer any and all questions that you guys may have as well, identify what specific markets you guys would like to take a look at, and really help you guys get to the next step and really progress in your own trading career. Again, that's the biggest point in the focus on these sessions. It's to help you guys really understand what's needed to become profitable, really help you guys make as much money as possible on your own. I think that's something that's highly needed. Let me go ahead and correct this trend line really quick now that I got my contacts in, and let's see if this actually works out a tad bit better. So I was just trying to see if we can connect this point as well a little bit better. I'll leave that trend line there. I'm just going to add another one. It's probably going to look almost identical, but I want to see if there is a potential. Let me get rid of this one. Now I'm just on US30 really quick before we begin, because there was a potential trade setup that I was looking at this. You can kind of already see the idea here. Now, obviously, I want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance. So if there's any specific markets you guys would like for me to take a look at, if there's any questions that you guys have, excuse me, please let me know. Again, I want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance. I want to make sure that I'm looking at markets that you guys would like to take a look at as well. And I want to make sure that I'm answering any and all questions that you guys have as well. So by all means, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I will be able to answer any and all questions that you guys may have. Also, if you do jump onto these streams with me as much as possible, if you do like the content that's put out, make sure you like the video. Again, I want to make sure that I'm building this community based off of just true value, real education, and transparency. So eventually I want to have at least hundreds, if not thousands of people within our Discord just throwing charts at each other, throwing trades at each other, and just speaking on what is needed to become profitable. So really want to build that community based off of that. So what I'm looking at with US30 before I actually go on to other charts, because I want to take a look at gold. I want to take a look at some other US cross pairs as well. I usually trade a lot of yen pairs and obviously the US cross pairs, because obviously we're trading during the New York session. So the volatility for the US cross pairs are going to be extremely volatile. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to enter this as my potential buy zone really fast before we begin. Now, this can be something that I might trade today or next week, obviously, because, again, today being Friday, the markets will end up closing. But I'll be looking at this as a potential buy zone, because you can see here that this is a level of previous structure, right? This was a level of previous resistance. It was a previous high as well. And when it broke above that point, it came back down to retest that area. And you can see here, it came back and couldn't, and if I drew my zone out a little bit bigger, you can see it didn't quite break below that point. But we're going to cheat. We're going to leave our zone right there just so that way our chart looks nice and clean. But you can see here the level of respect from that point before. So if this market can come back down to this point, being this level of structure and also this trend line, I'll go ahead and I'll start looking for some potential trades. We can actually go ahead and do this. Now, I'm not going to draw my fib from these lows here, because there's already an impulsive move, right? This is an impulse. This move here, and that's its correction. Actually, no. Yeah, because that's during news. I'm over here looking at this because anytime you have when you're using your Fibonacci tool, you have to have an impulse and a correction. You can't have something that looks like this and then measure from that low to this high. That's inaccurate. You would have to measure each impulse individually, meaning that I'll go from that low to that high to get this point, and then I have to go from this low to that new high to get that measurement. So I'm doing the same thing here. I want to make sure that I'm using the correct impulse before I'm doing anything. So we can actually see, and we're going to cheat. Now, here's a trick that I do with my fibs. That's the entire zone. but we don't know which fib ratio we should be respecting, because you're not going to look at just one fib ratio. You want to make sure that you're identifying the ratio that's relevant, where the market is showing the most confluence, meaning you're having more than one true idea to enter this trade. So I'm not only or always looking at the 61.8, because that ratio is not the greatest, it's not the most important. Each ratio should be used and seen as a relevant point of reference. So for me right now, I'm going to look at the 618 and the 786 down here, because as you can see here, that's within the zone. I would probably go with the 786 a little bit more, because we're getting more confluence at that area. So we're actually going to cheat and we're going to bring this down to the 786, since that's where that's where I'm focusing on now, that we're adding the confluence to this chart. So for right now, I do think that US30, I'm going to connect the dots here real quick for you guys. Actually got to make this a little bit closer so it's actually connected. There we go. So everything within trading, not your measurements, but your markups, they have to be as accurate. I wouldn't say as accurate as possible. Obviously, you want to make them as accurate as possible, but you want to make sure that if you have a trend line, that you're actually connecting the point. Like, don't have your trend line all the way down here, and you're like, well, I know this is valid here, but I'll leave it down here for whatever reason. I've seen people do that. I don't know why, but my trend line was off just by a little bit. Previously, it was not connecting, and that can give you the wrong entry point. So you want to make sure you're like really connected with the trend line there. Excuse me. So I do think that if we can identify the market coming back down to the zone, we could find some potential buys. So, and that's not something I'm immediately placing, right? Anytime I look at a chart or I'm looking at placing a potential trade, I'm not going to say once it gets there, time to buy. Absolutely not. We have to allow that market to really show us what's going to happen. For instance, let's see if this market comes down in this candle, right? Because this is still very much a bearish engulfing move, or candle rather. And we still have about 20 minutes for that market to actually reach that point before this candle closes. I think the 4 hour too as well, right? Oh, so it has about 2 hours left. So even that, right? We have to allow the market to really show us what happens next. So it can reach this point and the candle can immediately reject it and start giving us bullish behavior, such as a wick to the downside or a bullish variance form of a candle, right? If we start to see that at this area, then we can go ahead and start identifying potential entries. If you're going to use a smaller time frame, such as the 15 or the 5-minute candlesticks, if you will, I would, again, only look for candlestick reversal patterns or any type of market reversal pattern, such as a inverted head and shoulders pattern. So not there yet, but that is a potential idea here with US30. Now, obviously, if that's broken, let's say if the trend line, the structure, and the fib is completely broken, then obviously we're not going to look for buys. We completely change our bias around, and we go ahead and identify the potential sells. But we'll see what happens here with US30 just to start us off with as we begin our session. So again, real quick, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I am taking a look at the comment section below so that way I can pay attention and really understand everything you guys need. If not, I'll go ahead and continue to mark up some charts and really show you guys what I'm looking at. And again, since it is Friday, if you are just jumping onto the call and you didn't hear me say this before, it is Friday. So since it's Friday, we can't go ahead and place all the trades that we would want, right? It's good to identify trades. We can identify potential ideas, but don't get trigger happy when it's time for, an entry, because it is, again, Friday. The markets will be closing later today, 5 p.m. Eastern. So me understanding that, I know that the market volatility is not going to be that great. So we kind of want to stay away from some charts. I'm looking at US30 to possibly trade, because even a small move could get you paid. So that's, I would say, a US30 trade, if available, is something we could definitely do. So what I'm going to do really quick is go ahead and take a look at gold, one of my favorite markets to trade. Oh wow, look at that. So I haven't looked at gold since this time, because I wanted to let it develop a little bit after the news. I actually wanted to come back to this on Monday and trade it. But what's good, Philosopher King? What's good, my G? So what I'm looking at with this is, I mean, you can kind of already see it. I've actually marked it out in a sense. We were in this ranging market. Well, before anything, please can you take a look at GU? Yeah, I got you. I'll take a look at GU right after this. So what's your question with GU? Why do you want me to take a look at GU? If you ask me to take a look at a chart, let me know the reasoning behind it. So that way, one, I speak on relevance. Two, I'm not interfering with any of your analysis because there's a few things that I like to explain before doing that. And three, yeah, again, I just want to make sure that I'm speaking on relevance. So right back to one. So the first thing we got to do on gold, I didn't even mean to delete that because I wanted to show you guys that I actually did mark that up and it actually happened and I accidentally deleted it. But for the ones that were able to see, I did have this marked up previously. Good. If not, I'll show you exactly what I thought was going to happen, what did happen, and what I believe is going to happen next. The first thing we always have to understand when we jump onto a chart is the overall market, right? The overall direction. Now, I'm on the weekly time frame because this is probably going to be the only time or the only structure point, I believe, that'll be relevant here very soon. If we look at the overall market, we're looking from these lows to these highs. Wrong tool. So those lows, those highs. And I'm talking about overall, the currents. I'm not looking at anything over here right now because all this does not matter and it doesn't make me any form of money right now. But if I come over here, I can see that the current market is very bullish, right? Again, from these lows to these highs, we are in a bullish market since November or October of last year, actually. Gold has been buying like crazy. That's actually a few months, not a whole year. But I would think that we would find more continued buys, right? So if I look left to get right, there was previous structure here that was broken to the upside. We can currently see that break here. So the reason why I'm going over this is because, again, it's important that you guys understand the overall market so you know what to do next. Now, 50% of our work here is done, right? Because we know the true direction. I wouldn't say the full direction, but we know the direction of this current market. It's very bullish. So we should continue in that direction ourselves, especially after breaking above significant levels of structure. This should have been a barrier. This should have been a form of resistance where it couldn't have a strong break above and maybe offer a little bit of resistance and maybe a pullback. We didn't get that. So for me, what I'm looking at, since we did break above, I'm going to leave this structure here so it doesn't interfere with our markup on the smaller time frame. If I look at this again on the daily time frame, still very bullish. We're not getting that much bearish indication. I'll let you get rid of that structure because we don't necessarily need it right now. So what I'm going to do now is scale back down to a smaller time frame because we can't necessarily see the moves, the small, like the impulses and corrections on the daily as much as you would on a smaller time frame. But on the 4 hour, we can start to see that, especially on the 1 hour as well. But what I was looking at before, and I'm going to scale down to the 1 hour. Actually, I'll do this really quick so you guys can understand the relevance of price. Oh, it didn't quite. It almost came back down to that point. I thought it did. So I was looking at this as a potential break and a retest of that area. But what we ended up getting was this very strong ranging market. It was just kind of stuck within this point. It did try to peak above for a little bit, but it didn't quite make it at first. So with this ranging market, I'll scale down to a smaller time frame so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see, right? So what I was expecting with gold was, obviously, since we're in a ranging market, you sell from the highs, you buy from the lows, vice, you just keep doing that until you have a solid and significant break above. We now have that strong break above. Came back down to actually retest that point and continue bullish. Now, what the reason behind why I'm looking at this is because there's a few things that can happen on this smaller time frame. But overall, I think it's still going to remain bullish. But right now, this is starting to look as a possible, we can't call it yet, but a possible head and shoulders pattern. We would have to allow this to come correct a little bit higher and then come crashing down. Now, that does not necessarily mean this is going to happen and that gold is going to reverse. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. Hold on, give me 1 second. I had to drink some water. I got Red Bull today. But I got some good ass water, so I ain't mad. So I don't necessarily think, or we can't predict that this market is going to do exactly this, right? We can't predict it's going to do exactly a head and shoulders pattern and then start to sell. But now that I'm marking this up and I understand that, well, it has the potential of that, so we'll draw this as our new market structure or just structure in general. I'm going to get rid of these points down. Actually, I'll leave that point down here because that could very much well be if this does sell, it's going to reach that point, right? But what I'm looking at with gold is this level of current structure to be respected. Because let's say this is respected. We already have a bullish idea. Where do you want to buy from if you are looking for buys? You want to buy at the most significant level of market, or I wouldn't say market structure, but price. Right now, we can see that support has been made from this area. So we can actually go ahead, not now, please do not do this, but if anything, let's say we start finding some bullish reaction or more rejection, kind of like how we're seeing with this candle, we can go ahead and start looking for potential buys. Now, not right now, obviously, this is not something I'm going to place, but just showing you what my trade setup would look like, it'll look something like this. I'd have about a 30 pip stop loss, giving it a little bit of room to breathe, and then we'd go ahead and look for the buys up there. Again, this is not an entry that we are looking at right now or placing right now, so please do not. There is no opportunity on this as of yet, but maybe sometime soon. Because now on the 15-minute time frame, I like the way that these candles are starting to look. And 5 minute, I really don't use the 5 minute to be honest, but that's also looking pretty nice as well. So there might be some small potential buys on gold here soon. So I'll go ahead and take a look at Gbpjpy USD. What do you think is going to happen on GU? All right. So, I mean, with the US dollar news that came out yesterday, it's kind of telling us a few things. The US dollar is kind of losing its initial strength. Give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm getting sick, so I'm kind of like losing my voice a little bit. So I do apologize, but I want to make sure no matter what, I'm still on these calls with you guys. So being on GJ, again, I'm always going to scale out from a higher time frame and understand the overall market synopsis. Now, I do see that overall we're very much bullish, right? We go from those lows to those highs. But I'm not going to immediately disregard that there could be some potential sells. Now, I know with gold being a buy, we should be looking at, you know, the US dollar or this market initially being bearish. It's kind of hard to say that with how the market is currently going, though, right? Because for some reason, I think GU, EU, a lot of these markets will end up starting to sell. But at this current time, I mean, even with technical analysis looking at this, we're starting to see that the previous analysis, what I thought was going to be, you know, GU hard sells, EU hard sells, not really panning out to be that way. And the reason being is because, again, we can see from these lows, these highs, we're creating higher highs and higher lows. Not at the current standpoint, because we see that this low is, or this point here is lower than this high. So that could indicate potential sells, but not necessarily, because we have already started creating some bullish notation, right? Now, I'm just taking a look at this section here. Again, I'm not going to go, I don't have to go all the way to fucking 1920, you know, in price history to understand what's currently happening in this market. But I can see that at one point, this was a level of previous resistance, ended up being support with another push to the upside. That's significant price because of that action itself, the respect, the break, the retest, the continuation. That's all telling me from this point, this market, or this price rather, is pretty important. And we can see that it is, right? Because you can see right here, after it started selling off for whatever reason, it came back to that price, could not break below, and we have another bullish rally. What's important about that is we understand the current standpoint of what's happening as well. Not only did it respect this point to continue bullish, it broke above a previous point or a resistance to remain bullish. Not only did it break that point, it also retested it as well. You can see how this market has, look at that candle there. That wick to the downside at a level of significant and strong structure is important. I want everybody to understand that, right? I'm going to do this. We're going to call this out. I know I say it on the sessions all the time. Wicks equal rejection, especially at a level of structure. No background. Oh, now you guys can't see anything. Whatever, I'll leave it like that. So you can see here that wicks equal rejection. So if I'm going to scale down to a smaller time frame, the only real thing I'd probably be looking for are buys. You know what I mean? Now, trading could be very difficult, or we can make it extremely easy. This is an easy idea. Don't try to overcomplicate the market because you think you have to have all these weird strategies in order to be profitable. Absolutely not. I'm just trying to see if this channel works. So I was just seeing if there was a potential channel. Oh, maybe from here. Yeah, I draw it like that, actually. I don't like cutting through candles, but it actually tried to break through, came back in. But yeah, I'll leave it like that. It's a little ugly. I'll fix that later. But you can see, I mean, the initial breakout of structure, you can see the breakout of even the above trend line. I would think that this will continue to be bullish. Now, if you're wondering from where, that's completely up to you. I think that obviously this is going to be still a significant level of structure. You can see the break and the retest of it. So, I mean, that's a strong structure point that you could look for potential buys. We've already started creating, even on the smaller time frame here, that broke the structure, came back, retested, and we've already created a higher high. That's telling me that the market is most likely continuing to be bullish, right? You don't want to go against what the initial trend is currently giving you. Now, on a let me see something real quick. Okay, what I was looking to see if there was a potential breakout pattern even here. But I don't like, that might actually be something. Sorry guys, I'm over here. I'm really losing my voice. So I was just trying to see if there was something that we can actually plan with that. So, I mean, this is probably your best bet, to be honest. If you're looking for anything, I wouldn't go and place this as a buy right now, obviously. This is not a trade. Just marking this up so that way you guys get a strong idea. I mean, right now, that's the only thing I could really identify as far as GU. If you're looking for a potential trade from that area. But I would think even though it did already respect this point down there, I would at least allow the market to reach that point again. So we could do this. This will be considered an aggressive buy. Because I would think that it will have a little bit more of a push to the downside before we want it to become bullish again. I'm going to get rid of this. So as you see, like I'll have a lot on my chart, I'll mark things up, but then I'll delete it because I don't want so much on my chart that when it's time for me to enter or when I jump back onto the chart, I'm not going to know what I'm looking at. I want to only identify a few things: the direction of the market, where I'm going to place my trade. When it reaches these points, such as let's say right here at aggressive buy entry, I'm going to start looking for forms of confluence or my buy signals, if you will, right? I'm going to be looking for the clues that the market leaves behind for me to then say, okay, yes, now it's time to buy. Or we could now come back down here and say this is our conservative entries, or buy entries rather. Conserve buy entries. Because this is the most relevant level of structure. And after a strong impulsive move, especially with news, right? Because we had that news happen yesterday, the market kind of went crazy for a bit. It bought, it sold, it bought again, it sold again. So right now, I wouldn't necessarily say that a level of structure that was broken out of during news would hold that well. So I would obviously come back down here and look for this as our conservative buy zone. Conservative being the fact that the risk to reward will be better. You're a lot more patient, allowing your trade to develop and really fruition for you. So this is my idea with GU. I do think overall we'd be looking for some buys. So let me go back to the chat really quick and see what you guys got for me real quick. Head and shoulders there on GU. I was kind of looking at that as well. That's why I want to see what happens, because if it comes back down here and it respects that point, this no longer would be my first take profit. My take profit would be at that left shoulder price. So good eye, LA. I was seeing if anybody would notice that, so I was just kind of giving it a little bit of a chance. All right, so let me see real quick. Dominique says, once my funding is back right, I look to rejoin your community. I'm surprised to see you doing lives here. That's awesome and appreciated. Yeah, like I said yesterday, I'll be really honest with you guys. There's way too much free information on learning how to trade online where you don't even need to buy a course, that it really doesn't feel right. It didn't settle well with me for charging to educate. That's why I have like the auto trader, the signal, and that's why I'm doing binary with students, just so that way I didn't feel right charging for something where people are literally on YouTube teaching every day for free, or at least trading. I don't think anybody's really teaching. I think they're just like going on and trading necessarily and just like placing some trades and stuff. But I want to educate. I want to make sure that I build a community based off of like actual knowledge, because it'll be great one day for me to wake up into my Discord and I see thousands of people just throwing charts together, and it make my life easier because I'm like, oh shit, you know what, that looks great. Let's go ahead and buy or sell that. That's kind of like what I want to create. I really want to create traders through this. I want to create a community based off of like actual value. So that's why I'm on these lives here, because it's really important that Again, everybody gets education, but everyone understands that this is not something that's too hard, and not anybody, like, you have to have a college degree and be a genius to do this. You definitely don't. So I also want to be an advocate on that, really help people understand that this is just, if you have common sense, you can make profits. But let me see real quick. Philosopher, nice bro. The GBPUSD, nice analysis on GU. All right, yeah. I appreciate that. And it's, again, we're just using simple ideas, right? We're not doing anything too complicated. Again, like I've showed you guys this before, but we can make trading complicated. I have no idea what this tool is. If anybody does know how to use it, that's cool. But you can use all these crazy tools and contraptions to start trading. I can even do this. Even though it looks crazy, it's actually a really good tool, to be honest. I actually do like this tool. But you can have something like this. Your chart could look crazy like that and be all complicated. You have no idea what you're looking for, even though I'm just using this as a visual reference on how crazy this would look. Like, you can have all these weird systems, but I actually will back and say that this Ichimoku, however you say it, that's actually a really good indicator, really good tool if you know how to use it. But you can have all those systems, or you could just be very simple, right? Again, the way that we trade is called price action. Now all my alarms want to work. It's called price action. We're identifying the most relevant level of price, structure, support, resistance, supply, demand, order block, however you want to call it. It's literally all the same, really. And we're basing our entries off of those points, off the actions that we can see coming from there. So that's my approach to trading. That's why with GU, you can currently see that there's not too much on the chart. If it gets too loud in the background, let me know, guys. I know I'm literally in the middle of the city of New York, so everything is loud. So I do apologize if you hear like sirens, garbage trucks, Broadway, like right there. So I apologize. So what I'm going to be looking for is, again, these potential buys right here, or even down here. I would personally like conservative buys from this point, only because, again, this is the most relevant level of structure, the stronger structure. And obviously your risk reward would be much better, because if we were to go ahead and buy this right now, our stop loss would have to be below these lows. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, because you always want to give your trade a little bit of room to breathe. Now, why enter there if you could wait for the market to be here? That stop loss doesn't move, but it gets a lot less risky, because we just went, if let's say we bought from here, we went from like a 95 pip stop loss to a 30 pip stop loss. So much more better as far as risk to reward is concerned. So if anything, I'd be looking at these 2 points for potential buys. The clouds. Yeah, the clouds are crazy. The Ichimoku cloud is insane. I'm pretty sure you guys can hear New York City in the background. My fault, everybody. My brother, what do you think about GJ? What do you think? We went over this yesterday. No, didn't you buy this yesterday? Yeah, you said you bought this. Why would you buy this? You got to understand, there's no buys on this. So you bought at 56,893. 56,893. So up here, my guy, what are you doing? Definitely not, bro. What is the reasoning behind a buy in such a strong seller's market? You got to understand that, right? And also, this is one, and I'm not saying this sounds disrespectful. This is something that's going to help you, I promise, because I wish somebody told me this when I had first started trying to learn how to trade. Don't ask somebody else's opinion on a market that you just traded. A reason being is because, one, you're not going to be able to build your confidence that way. Two, you're never going to trust your own analysis, right? If I go ahead and I say, oh, this is not a buy, and you go ahead and you close your trade out because you're in a small loss, next thing you know, that shit shoots up 500 pips, you're going to be mad at me, right? You have to be able to trust your own analysis at all times. That's the most important thing. Psychology within trading is what really makes or breaks a lot of people, right? The reason why I've thankfully been successful and profitable is only because I'm kind of hard-headed, right? I'm a little hard-headed to the point where I'm down to take a little bit of a risk. Me understanding that I could take a little bit of risk has helped me become more confident with my trading, right? The biggest risk in life is not taking one. And I'm down to take as much as I possibly can in order for me to become profitable. But you also have to understand there has to be a calculated risk at that. So you're buying from this area. So we're going to go back. You said 56.93, so just roughly around here. 56.93, so just roughly here. Why? What is the point of buying in such a strong seller's market? You haven't reached a level of significant structure. At least those lows would be your best opportunity for buys. You are not buying in a seller's market. That is it. That is my opinion on GJ. There's not much we have to do on this. I'm leaving this up here, this structure, in the event that it wants to have a pretty steep correction and come back and retest that point. But yeah, bro, you're not buying this. So I'm personally telling you, you should exit that trade. You should close that buyout, because if anything, your buy would be down here, and that's even subjective because I don't think that would hold. So I would say risky buy area. I'm not even going to put entry because I wouldn't even look to buy from this point. But that is your buy. If you are looking for buys, that's where you buy from. But you can't simply just buy a market based off of an index. So let's do this, because I'm pretty sure this is what's happening. Let's do RSI. All right. I like using these, and I'll even put stochastic. Right? The reason why I'm drawing, or I'm putting these indicators, is because what ends up happening is you guys are so focused on reversals, or I got to get that prime entry. I'm going to get that wick entry so that way I could put a standard on a $50 account with no drawdown and flip my account, as they say. Absolutely not. These indicators, such as RSI, stochastic, they become obsolete in a trending market, because it's trying to show you an oversold market when the market clearly is not even close to being oversold. It hasn't reached a significant level of structure. You can even see here this impulse, this small ass correction, and you can start to see it's already broken a low point. Since it's broke that low point, I mean, there's no coming back. That is not a buy, right? Your next real buy is at least down to that area. But yeah, I'd close that. Let me see something real quick. Absolutely, I did mistake, but I will take lessons from that. I never do before, but I will close the trade now. And I'm not trying to be rude on that. I'm just trying to help you. I'm trying to help you prevent from losing much more money, because there's without of a doubt this market is selling down to this area. There's nothing stopping it, right? There has to be a reasoning behind a trade. If it's only going to be something like this, where it's structure, where you can't use a fib on this time frame, where there is no trend line that could really be added, unless, like, again, we're going to this ridiculously high, well, I wouldn't say ridiculously high time frame, but if you wanted to do something like this, then yeah, you could possibly, go ahead and use those type of ideas. But for something like this, where you're such a strong trending market, where there is no pullback, you really can't use a trend line. Because I would not use a trend line, maybe something like that. I actually do like this, but when your trend line's like so close to the market itself, to the whole move, that's not very much valid. So there's no trend line that needs to be added with this. Obviously, again, there's no Fibonacci because there's no correction. So when you see something like this is what you would call as parabolic, meaning that it's really nonstop and it's only going to be. Or a change of direction is when it reaches a significant level of structure, price. Right here, that is the level of price that you're looking at. You have to make sure that when you enter a trade, there are reasonings behind it, confluences, not just, okay, structure, or okay, I think it's oversold, it's time for it to buy. Because the market will do whatever it wants. Consider it a living, breathing organism, right? You have to, because it has its mind of its own. Look at this. Or yesterday, rather. We'll go to GU just because we're looking at it. And you can see, let's get rid of this before people think we're actually buying that right now. You can see how this market is a living, breathing organism. The market shot up, came right back down, shot back up. Now it's consolidated. Now it doesn't know what it wants to do. It has to make up its mind, right? We can't tell it. It'll tell us. So when we go to Gbpjpy, it's telling us what it wants to do. Look at it, right? This is where common sense comes into play, everybody. When we are trading, when we are looking at a chart, when we are trying to identify something, the first thing you should do is say to yourself, Is this up or is this down? That's it. Don't make it complicated and start saying, well, I got to talk to the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow, get the pot of gold. Then after that, I got to use Morse code. No, you don't have to do any of that overcomplicated stuff, right? 50% of your work is done once you can see, just look, you can see the direction of the market. That is important. You have to be able to identify some things without marking shit up. Now all my alarms want to work. I swear to God, it's the most annoying thing. I have 13 alarms and none of them were working. And now for some reason, my phone is just like, yo, I got you. But again, if I was to show this chart to somebody right now, right? Somebody who's never looked at a chart, has no interest or idea about trading. But if I was to show them this, they're probably going to, and I ask them, what can they notice? The one thing I know they're going to say is, well, it was buying, but then it stopped buying. So now it's all the way down here. And I know they'd probably say, I wouldn't invest into this stock because this stock is no longer buying. They're not wrong with anything that they said. I know it's not a stock, but they're completely right in the sense of why invest in something onto the upside when we know that this market is pushing to the downside. And for us trading Forex, we could make money on those sells. You can make money in stocks on the shorts as well. But in this sense, just to keep it funky, you can see that this market is very much bearish. You don't have to mark anything up. You don't have to have a 50-period moving average and a break above or below. You don't have to have any of that. Common sense says this is selling. Sell with it, right? This would have been a better idea. So you bought at a place I'm sure that you could have sold from. You said 5693. So you bought from there. Okay. So you could have actually looked at this and looked to sell from 57,370 or anywhere from this point. That's a level of structure. That's important. That is a break, a retest. You could have taken your fib. Swing high, swing low. You can see here, came to that 50% retrace ratio. Damn near perfectly alongside that level of structure. That could have been your trade instead of the buy. So now that you've seen the mistake, we went over it. So let me do this. Actually, I'll do a call out. I really want you, who was that, my man's? Muhammad. So I think that's how you say it. I'm going to say your last name. My fault, bro. I'm not even going to try to say your first name. But I mean, no disrespect. I just don't want to butcher it because I mess up my last name sometimes. Let me see real quick. So this is going to be considered break and retest entry. Obviously, there's no entry on that, but I'm just showing you so that way in the future, if you see this, anybody sees this, you'll be able to go ahead and place your trade accordingly. Obviously, I'm measuring from these highs to these lows because it's already made its impulse move from there, corrective move, and it's already created its new impulse because it's already broken that low. So that is why I'm not measuring my fib incorrectly from that high to these lows. So that's it right there. So if you were looking at anything, you were looking at that break and retest trade there. So guess what? You can kind of do the same. We already know that this market is very bearish to the downside. The volatility is strong. Can you mark this up as a level of structure that was just broken out of, right? You can see the breakout with this candle. Since we broke from that point, we're creating a newer low, right? You can allow this market to impulse lower. I'll zoom out. I know it's getting a little too close. Let's say it does this, and it can come back and retest that point. I would now think that would be your best idea. Jay, would you sell it right now? Absolutely not. Because what you cannot do is, again, time the market. You're not timing the market. You're trying to predict the next move. The next move would either be, obviously, an impulsive move to the downside and then a corrective break and retest type trade. So this would be potential sell range if retested. Very important. So I would allow this market to impulse lower, come back to retest that point. Obviously, we cannot use a fib right now because the impulse is not over with and the correction has not started. But what we can do is, let me see if we can kind of identify where this market will end up going. So I'm gonna use a Fibonacci extension tool. Actually, we'll go, yeah, these are the highs here. So extension, so we'll go from that high to that low, Oh, I forgot I haven't changed the colors or anything on this. And we're coming right back up to these highs. So what we're doing is, I got to add the 127 and everything. Is it not here? It is, 141, 127. There we go. So I'm adding those two marks. Let me actually see if I get rid of this background. I hate the way that looks. There we go. So what I'm looking at is to try to identify some specific points where the correction could start from, meaning that this impulse would either hit the 127, the 141, or the 161 fib extension ratio. That could be used as a form of support as well. Now, let me actually look left to get right. Is that meeting any? Ah, that is. So we're reaching down to that 141 and 161 area. So that'll be kind of our area of reference. And that's, if we look left, that's a pretty significant point. So we're adding confluence. So this is what I'm saying about when you're looking to enter a trade, when you're trying to identify, is this actually a buy? You want to make sure that you're looking at what's considered a PRZ zone, a potential reversal zone. This right here, we can identify that as a potential reversal zone down here. So potential sell range if retested. I know this is a lot right now, but let's say it does this. Let's say it does come back down. I would still look for those sells, a small time sell before looking at anything else. But yeah, I mean that's my idea with GJ. You're not buying this as of yet. You want to make sure that you're still very much going in the direction of the trend. And just because I'm considering this daily level of structure a potential PRZ, and we have a lot of confluence stating that there could be buys from here, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm immediately going to start buying from there, because this is still very much bearish. I want to continue in that direction. So let me see what you guys got in the comments. Let me see real quick. Not standard on a $50 account. Yo, I did it before. I'm not gonna lie. When I first started trading, I had FX Glory as my broker, and they offer 1 in 3,000 leverage. So I took a $50 account, because I didn't know what a standard lot size even was. I thought I didn't think it was that important. But thankfully, it actually went well. I turned 50 into like $2,000 off of a signal that I got from like one of the chat groups that I was in. And we were all like calling trades. Yeah, I made like $2,000 off of it. And that's what I kept doing. I thought that was like the norm. I didn't even know how to adjust a lot size. I was trading for maybe like 3 weeks at that point. And yeah, then I lost it all because I didn't know what a standard lot size could do. So very humbling moment after that. I was like, oh, I understand what risk management is now. It was kind of crazy. All right, so some people I see now, they are talking about buy for a lot of people, doing my mistake. I did now, that's the problem. If anybody's saying buy right now, they're kind of crazy. I mean, the market is literally leaving clues behind saying, do not buy me. It's created another low point. It has not reached the significant structure. Like it's not, I'm gonna delete everything. And look at this daily candle. Like this is something we all have to understand, the candlesticks and the behavior of them. Does that look bullish to you? Not at all. My man said, thank you so much, my brother. Appreciate how you make me understand. Yep, I appreciate you guys. I would appreciate, though, if you guys could hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, Segway King, man. But no, seriously, if you guys do get value from these, if you guys do understand how to trade a little bit more, if you do like just really appreciate the daily consistency of the education, if you will, please, by all means, it definitely helps. It's free for you guys. It's free for me to do this. So the only thing that I ask is that you guys just hit the like button. It really does help. I want to help as many people as I possibly can understand how to trade more. So if you guys could do that, I'd be very, very grateful. So let me go to US30 really fast, because I know I did have this marked up for a potential buy setting up. So let's see. I thought it hit our trend line. I was about to say, yo, that's looking great. But not yet. But I do like the way that this is currently looking right now. So I'm going to keep this up for you guys. I'm actually going to put this in the Discord for you guys, actually. Let me do this. So I'm going to put this in the Discord for you guys. Now all my alarms want to work. Analysis. Let me just make sure this is good. So I'm doing this live with you guys just so that way I don't forget to put the analysis, but I also want to make sure that everybody who is not on the session can also get this analysis. So as we are on our live call, we are seeing a potential buy for US30. No entries as of yet. Just so that way everybody can get that. And just so that way, if you are not a part of our Discord, you can go ahead and do that as well. If you're not a part of our Discord, the link for it is in the description of this live. So feel free to go ahead and join that. We have a bunch of people in that Discord. I want to, again, build that community based off of just straight education, pure value, and really helping and having the community help each other out at the same time. I might actually go ahead and put, I haven't put a buy limit in so long. I was going to put a limit order here just for fun, but I always do market execution. I'll stick with that because you always want to stay disciplined to what you do and what you know. Next thing you know, I'll put a buy limit here and the market's like, haha, Jay, yeah, right. And just goes ahead and just continues to sell. But this right here, I'm definitely liking for a potential buy area. So I've already put that analysis in the Discord. So if you guys would like to keep an eye on that, go ahead into the Discord and keep an eye on that. US oil. You trading some weird pairs. Still very much a buy, just like I said before. Still, if I'm correct, I was like buys if I'm correct. Yeah, that's still a buy. I know we're in a very bearish market. If I'm correct, let me see my analysis on this previously. Yeah, you're buying up until this point. That's it. That's literally it. See how, again, just using common sense. I'm not trying to overcomplicate anything. I can see that the market is broken above a resistance point. There's nothing stopping it until it reaches another resistance point. Where's that resistance point? Right there. So what are you most likely going to do? It's going to buy up until this point before making its next decision. That's it. See how easy it can be? Obviously, there's a lot more to trading. It's not just, just that. But you always want to make sure that you're understanding the clues that the market is currently leaving behind. That's the clue. Broke structures, there's nothing stopping it until it reaches another significant structure point. That significant structure point is up here. Oil will buy till here. I'm even gonna use Ebonics. I'm gonna put till. Oil will buy to here. So that is your analysis. Oh, there's the trains. Everything's so loud in New York City, I swear. Does that help, philosopher? I don't have an entry on this. I personally don't trade US oil. I don't even look at this, to be honest. The only time I look at it is when you ask, which is cool. But I mean, this is something that you can clearly see the direction of the current market. I know overall it's very much bearish, but it does seem as if it's starting to create more of a bullish idea. So at least allow it to reach that buy point, or this this resistance point. I'll get rid of this really quick. Let it reach that resistance point before you make a decision, because it could be bullish up until this point before it wants to continue its bearish move, right? Because it is still very much in a bearish market. So this could be your PRZ zone. PRZ, potential reversal zone, because we still are very much in a bearish market. But as you can see, it's not bearish right now. So let it reach a specific point before you start looking for any form of sells. If this PRZ is broken, then you know the market is no longer selling, and you can start looking for continued buys. But that's it, man. That's really it. Not too much that needs to be done with this one. And again, I'm not saying this to sound disrespectful. Being from New York City, everything I say sounds extremely rude and disrespectful. I do apologize on that in advance. But every time you jump onto a chart, just use common sense. Look at it. What is it doing? Is it up? Is it down? What is the market doing? We can see it's creating higher highs, higher lows. We can see that the market is breaking previous, previous, just levels of structure in general, right? To create these highs and lows, or higher lows rather. So oil is going to buy up until this initial point here. You're not doing any sells until you reach that point. If in fact you start to see the market, let's say we do get here and you start to see the market get choppy, consolidated, it's not really offering much, it doesn't seem like it's going to break above, then you have a better argument for the potential sells back down to these initial points. But yeah, you're not doing anything from there. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gives you some information. But yeah, with oil, there's not too much that you necessarily have to do with this. Allow it to either you find your buy entry points, or you allow it to your buy entry points being anywhere here, maybe even there, right? Because it hasn't really, it did kind of reach that point, so this would be your entire zone. Like, you do have some buy points, but at the same time, like, you're not looking for anything else up until, you're not looking for any sells up until you reach that area. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, what else you guys got for me, if anything? 823. Let me see Euro USD really quick. Ooh, I might actually have to take profits really quick. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, I might take, this is our auto trader really fast. I have an entry for sells on EU. I just wanted to see how that was going. I mean, it's good, but at the same time, that might not reverse, but it'll correct. So I just want to take as much profits off the table before the correction happens. So, and real quick, just because you guys see that I have an entry here for our auto trader does not mean that you guys go ahead and go place that. You can already see that our entry's up there. If you did go ahead and sell this, your entry would be completely off. You probably would end up in drawdown and non-profit. So please don't do that. I had somebody do that before. They were like, yo, I saw that you had trades placed on your auto trader. I placed them, and why didn't I make money and you guys made money? Our entry was literally, I'll delete everything really quick. So this is why I'm like telling you guys don't do this. Our entry, let's say our entry was down here. My man tried buying it like up here. And we already took profits and it started selling off. So please don't do that. Like, I don't want anybody going to Euro USD and placing a sell since we have a sell on that. Please don't. Don't want you guys getting in trouble. So I am looking at some of these markets really quick because I want to see how the US dollar is considerably doing. It doesn't seem as if we're getting that much volatility as we were expecting after news. We didn't get much volatility before news, and now the market's kind of like stuck in this weird little range again. My brother, what do you think gold? Like I spoke on gold earlier before you got in. No, this is not an entry. We did not buy this yet. But I think right now you're just continuing to look for buys. We have this level of structure that's being respected. If I continue to see this level of structure being respected, I'll look for potential buys from that point. Potential buy area. Again, there is no buys, no entries on this as of yet. But I went over the analysis on this previously, so I'm not going to go too in depth. But overall buys up until this area here. Like, there's really not much else we could really see. I would say, so this is pretty much the entire level of short, or a zone rather. I don't want my zones that big, so I'm actually going to draw my zone there as the high point, but I'm also just going to put a line here because that's also a level of structure. The reason why I'm putting a line there is because for my reference, that line is a lot weaker than this zone, so that could be easily broken, but it's still something that I pay attention to. So I think overall you're looking for buys on gold. That's it. Nothing complicated. Again, why do I think buys on gold? Look at that trend. I'm not overcomplicating anything. Is this up? Is this down? That's all I'm looking at. I don't have to put an indicator, don't have to mark anything up right now. I understand that this market is bullish. Why go against it? I'm going to continue to look for those buys. The probabilities are in the buys. All my alarms. Those probabilities are in the buys, right? Not your sells. So I know you were probably looking for sells, but please do not. You can see that we're creating some structure at this point. So I want to see if this market can continue to hold that structure before we look for any potential buy entries. If we did buy this, my first take profit obviously would be at these highs because that is the next level of current structure. This will be my take profit area. My trade setup would look like this. Again, please do not enter. This is not an actual trade setup. Not yet, at least. My trade would be about 40 pip stop loss. First take profit about 120 pips. And then obviously if it breaks above that, you just hold on to dear life and you let that just continue to make you money. But that's my idea with gold. Just to break it down in the fast version so that way I don't have to go over it twice for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are like, nah, I don't want to talk about gold again. But yeah. I think overall we're looking at potential buys on gold. Again, not right now. I'm talking about overall. And right now we have identified the next strongest potential buy zone, which we're at right now. I'm just drawing that trend line to see if that's going to be valid for us. Does look very good, so we'll go ahead and keep that there. So we do have some confluence forming around this point for our potential buy. So that's my idea with gold. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. If it does, press that like button if you haven't. Hey, Segway King. Again, I just want to build this community based off of transparency, value, true education, and really help as many people as I possibly can to become more profitable and consistent with their trading. We go check US30 just to see if we are within our potential buy zone, so that way we can go ahead and look for our entries. I'm, again, not immediately placing my trade once it gets there. I want to make sure that I'm identifying the clues that the market leaves behind, so that way I can look for positive trade. So let me go ahead and take a look at some other stuff really quick. If you're going to ask Nas 100, it's going to be the same exact thing. If I'm going to be looking for buys on US30, I'd be looking for buys on this as well. Almost identical, not quite, but almost. I'm going to cheat because the market, as you can see, could not close below that point. I will use a fib, even though it looks extremely weird. So we even have the 786 and the 618 kind of idea around this area as well. I would think that it'll drop down a little bit lower before we actually get our buys. Let me correct my trend line so I make sure everything is accurate. Perfect. All right, so I'm just marking this up to see if there is any other opportunities with, Nas 100. Let's check SPX 500. Ooh, that actually looks. I'll be a little careful because this actually looks pretty bearish, and obviously if this is doing something, the others will as well. This is my previous analysis, buy kill zones, as you see here, that already happened, so we can get rid of that. Literally bought off of our buy kill zone. Market was ranging, broke range for upside confirming buys. We can get rid of that because that's old analysis. We don't want to get confused. So literally all I'm doing, okay. So I just went on to the 4 hour because I want to see the peak of this previous impulse and its correction. And you can see here that the peak is there, and we can see that there's respect there. So I'll be looking at that as our potential buy zone as well. But yeah, any questions? Any other markets you guys want me to take a look at? Is anyone confused? I think that's the biggest thing too. If you're confused on something, always let me know. I want to make sure that you guys are trying to I'm trying to help you guys leave with some knowledge. Each session, you should leave with some form of knowledge that you didn't have before. So that way, by the end of the year, if you get 1% better on each one of these calls, by the end of the year, you're going to be 365% better. And that's more than enough. That's more than enough to become profitable in the markets. So, yeah, any questions, any other markets you guys want to take a look at, feel free to let me know. It's really important, again, that I'm speaking on relevance for you guys and really helping you guys understand what's needed to become profitable. So, if anything, feel free to let me know. I am taking a look at the comments. I am making sure that I'm answering any and all questions that you guys have. It's only like 2 people that be asking questions too, or letting me know what they need. But if not, we'll conclude for today. I do need to trade binary with my students this morning. Last night I actually got a little risky. I wanted to try some new entries. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. The payouts really weren't that great last night as well. But I want to make sure that we trade during the New York session, so that way, obviously, during the New York session, the payouts are much better, and we have a lot more trades or a lot more markets that we could get opportunities with. For some reason, there was like 3 markets that only had 70% payout. So during the New York session, we get up to almost 90%, sometimes like 80, 85. And then there's a lot more markets to trade, and the volatility is there too. So I want to make sure that I'm trading binary with students. Brother, do you have Telegram as we can join? Nah, bro, you ain't hear what I said. You ain't see this? I got a whole Discord. No Telegram, bro. Whole organized and professional Discord. As you see here, this is what you guys would see. You guys would see the legacy chat. You guys would see analysis updates, profits, announcements. You guys won't get the VIP chat live sessions. You won't get any of this stuff, so you won't see this. But I have a whole Discord, bruh. Check the description. That's what I was saying earlier. Pay attention, my nigga. I got you. I got you, my G. So, yeah, man, I got a whole Discord, bro. A whole Discord. You can see here, you get a whole welcome, and you get everything, man. This is where I put my analysis for US30 in the event that we do look for buys. So make sure you stay tuned to that, because I did put out some trades. I put out analysis. This NZD USD trade came out beautifully for you guys. I'm also putting, as you see here, I have our big lot size signals here for you guys as well. Well, not for you guys, but for like the VIP and everything. So yeah, I got a whole Discord, my guy. Join the Discord. The link for it is in the description below. I got you. But yeah, any other questions? My man Braxton. But yeah, any questions, anything you guys got, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. I do have to run a session with my students on binary. Got to make sure that we're making money on that, or at least staying as profitable as possible on that. I'm trying to, close out our profits within 60 seconds. I want to be in and out of our trades, so that way we can get 4 or 5, and we can get 10 trades a day and be all perfect with them all. I want to be able to do that consistently with them too. So just want to make sure that I'm catering to to everybody before I go with my my students. But yeah, definitely let me know if there's anything you guys need. I know there's a huge delay between me and you in the stream. It's really annoying. I hate when that happens because I feel like you guys think I'm ignoring you guys when you ask questions, and I'm not. It's just literally, it's like a 20 to 30 second delay at this point, I feel. So I do apologize for that. How can we join? Where can I find? I just said, bro, in the description of the video. If you look at the description of this video, of this live that you're on, you will see the link to the Discord for you to join. That simple. God, I'm giving you the answers, bro. You got it. You got to work with me. You got to do some type of work. I hate when, I get people like when students come to me, right? And they're like, yo, I don't know how to put the auto trader on. I'm like, okay, cool. Check me out. There's a whole video. And they use the video and they're like, nah, I still can't do it. And I asked them, have you looked at the video? Like, nah, I don't know. I'm like, I gave you the answers. Everything's there. You just want your hand held more. No, you got to take the initiative. You got to be able to work for something that you want. All you got to do is press the description and you'll find the link for the Discord in there. I'm trying to be entertaining for you guys too. I know I know trading is boring at times. I know it can be very redundant, so I try to make you guys laugh at the same time. But yeah, man, everything's right there, bro. Everything's right there. But yeah, any questions, anything else you guys got, feel free to let me know. Let me actually go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin really quick before I move on. Strong sell area. Ooh, we're back in that area. Let me see something real quick. Okay. So we might start looking for some potential sell-offs on Bitcoin. I don't like this trend line, so I'm going to delete it. The only reason why I don't like it is because there's only 2 valid touches. 1, 2. You need a third valid touch of a trend line for it to be valid, or for it to be considered valid. So that's not valid. Why are all my alarms going off now? I don't even have an 8:36 alarm. Now my phone's just bugging. But that trend line is no longer valid, but I am going to be looking at Bitcoin to be selling from that initial area. So we might want, if you have any investments on Bitcoin, it's probably going to be time for you to start taking them soon. Quick question. What's the smallest amount we could use in the auto trader if we joined? There you go. I'll put it like that. I have an entire list of what your lot size should be based on the account size you have, and also same for if you're using a funded or prop firm challenge. So right there. I like to say 500, just so that way you can make some money, give you a little bit of room to breathe with if there's drawdown. But there you go. Just so that way you guys get a visual. And I got to change this. Let me actually change this now. So there you go. Yeah. So $100 to 400, 500. So you could use $100, but make sure you're using proper risk management. Just make sure you're using proper risk management. Let me see something real quick. Okay, maybe not. Maybe we won't take profits on Euro USD just yet. I think I do have a buy on USD CHF. No. Okay, I do. Yeah, this market's just kind of stuck and consolidated. So I do have a buy on USD CHF. You guys can see this is our auto trader. I know it's right there at our entry. If you guys want to place that trade, you can. I'm literally just checking this so you guys can see. If you guys would want to, that's fine. I'm probably going to take profits on this soon, only because of the consolidated idea. It's not really giving us much. I'll leave our trade on Euro USD though, because so far so good on that. But USD CHF kind of just stuck there. If you guys want to go ahead and place that, that's completely up to you. I'm telling you, I might take profits for students though, because this is actually kind of choppy and I don't like the way that it's looking anymore. So I'm going to be, I'll be very careful with that. In other words, join that Discord at the bare minimum for info. Yeah, if you want all information, everything is in that Discord. Or you could just simply hit me up after this. It's perfectly fine as well. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can hit me up on Discord, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, message in a bottle. I'll receive it eventually. I got you. But yeah, anything else you guys got, feel free to let me know. I definitely got you guys. If not, we'll conclude for today. I gotta get some more water. I tell you, man, I really have nothing but respect for teachers now. And I always wondered why they always carried around big ass thermoses and cups and always was drinking water and things. The more you talk, the thirstier you get, man. That's crazy. So I definitely want to take a quick 5-minute break before I jump onto a session with my students and trade binary. But I still have time. If you guys need my time, by all means, feel free to let me know. I'm still here. If not, we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on Monday morning. As the markets reopen, we'll be able to identify some potential entries and some trades. Depending on how my Sunday looks, we could probably jump onto a call here on YouTube as well, because we could probably mark up charts right before the markets, even open, really get a strong idea of what the week has to come for us, and then go from there. But yeah, doesn't seem like I got anything in the comments below. I know there's a big ass delay, so I'm kind of just waiting to see if that's playing a factor, to see if you guys have any questions or anything. But it does seem like you guys are good. First and foremost, I do want to appreciate, or say that I appreciate every last one of you guys. A lot of you guys have been on these calls, whether you're a legacy student or not. I appreciate you. Again, I really want to build this community based off of value and transparency and real education. So hopefully, if you guys are getting that, if you guys are getting some information, some value, go ahead and please, again, like the video if you haven't already. I really want to build this based off of that value and really have a bunch of people who actually care about trading and actually want to make money trading just off of simple ideas, no MLM, none of that craziness, just pure trading. That's what I want to build, and that's who I want to attract and impact in a positive manner. So LA, thanks for your time. Appreciate your insight. Always, always, always. I'm definitely here for every last one of you guys. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Facebook. Even leave a comment here. If you can't get into contact directly with me for whatever reason, you don't have my Facebook, which is all here too. I think it's all in the description. But for whatever reason, you can leave a comment, a question here on the YouTube lives, and I always come back. I always see if there's anything that you guys need from me, and I'll be able to answer your question or hit you up directly from there as well. So first and foremost, again, I appreciate all of you guys for joining these lives every morning since I've been doing them. It's highly appreciative, and I'm extremely grateful to have you guys watching me over anybody else. That's very, very humbling in a sense, because you guys could be, spending your time watching somebody else, but you're doing it with me. So I definitely appreciate that, and that's why I give you guys all my knowledge and all of my energy. So everybody, have an amazing day. Have an amazing amazing weekend rather. Hopefully, if you guys need anything, let me know. I've had to get Ubers for people across the world just because, they had way too much way too much fun during the weekend. If you ever find yourself in that situation, you're a legacy student or you just know me in general, always hit me up. I always got your back, and I'll make sure that I help out to the best of my abilities. But enjoy your weekend, everybody. God bless. Have fun. Be safe. And again, if there's anything else you guys need, always